First off, I'm probably older than most of you guys on there. I'm 67 years old. I've been carrying a firearm on my person for 22 years. I've had firearms all my life. But it seems to be an argument, I don't understand it, on YouTube and the gun committee about which way to carry a firearm. First off, the only way to carry is condition red or condition 1 is 1, 2, or 3 or green, amber, or red. But for the sake of this video, we call it green, amber, or red. Anyway, the main thing is the difference between the draw time and amber and red is probably twice as fast, but that's not the main concern. If you draw a firearm, which these firearms have been cleared, it's a Glock 36. I carry this and a Glock 27. But the main thing is, if you have to rack this slide, you're just putting a whole bunch of more stuff into it that don't need to be there. Like if you don't get it back far enough, it jams. That's the main concern right there. And I know there's a lot of people think it's safer to carry in condition amber, but actually it's not, because if you get a threat, rack the slide, you get a jam, now you can't tell a bad, well, wait a minute, my gun jammed, let me get this clear. I mean, it just don't happen, you know. So that's the main concern. You're putting a whole other thing into the equation rather than just drawing and firing. Now, I got a Glock. I've never had any. I got 2 or 3. I got a Glock 19 too. These guns will not go off unless you put your finger on the trigger. That's just, I've never seen one do it. They just don't do it. So if you're scared that you're going to shoot yourself, you probably need to practice with your equipment, get the correct holster, and carry that and practice. I mean, if I was going to carry in condition amber, I'd as soon carry a hammer. I could pull a hammer out and beat your brains out before you could rack that if I was standing in a distance. I mean, it just don't make any sense, you know, if you want to protect your life. So my suggestion is practice with your equipment. You know, that's all there is to it. And other suggestion I can make is you probably want to carry pretty much the same all the time. I carry most of the time, 90% of the time, with a high ride holster on the right side. That way I don't have to think. I mean, I know where that gun's at and I can get it. Sometimes I carry inside the waistband. I got a box full of holsters. But anyways, that being said, I'll tell you a little real life story. I've been alive quite a few years. I've had 3 instances in my life where I had to pull the gun to stop a threat. Thank God I didn't have to fire. That was enough. One in particular was in 2007, and this will probably demonstrate the difference in the rack and the slide. Now this stuff is going to happen, and probably, I mean, everybody thinks it's going to happen in some ghetto area or a bad area. It can happen anywhere where you least suspect it, and that's probably where it's going to happen. My particular incident was, I think in 2007. I was at Best Buy, me and my, broad open daylight, relatively nice place, you know, not a bad area. We went in to buy a bunch of computer stuff, and Best Buy, and I bought a chair, so I went out to put my stuff in there and get the van ready, because he's buying a whole ton of computer stuff. So I was parked about eight rows down, not 8 rows, 8 cars down from the front. So I was sticking the stuff in the computer and stuff, and you know, in the computer stuff and in there. Well, when I turned around, and you got to be aware of this kind of stuff. I locked the door, turned around, and I was by the front door. I looked, and this guy was coming out from between a double row of cars at an angle straight across from me. Probably about, when I first seen him, was probably about 15 yards, maybe 20 yards. Well, what got my attention was he was looking straight at me, and he locked eye contact. He was walking straight at me. He never took his eyes off of my eyes. I mean, he's looking dead in my eyes. That is not a normal thing. People just don't do that. I mean, if you see somebody on the street and you look at them or acknowledge or something, they'll look away. It's just not normal for them to stare. He was staring me down. So it was cold out, so I had my sidearm on, and I had it just my coat over it. That's the way I carry it in the winter. And I turned around, I seen him looking, he kept walking, he got about halfway across the aisle. It was a wide aisle. And I'm looking at him, and he's staring at me. He kept advancing towards me. And I'll stand up and show you what he did. He got about 10 feet behind the car, and he went like this. Well, when he went like this, I seen he had his hand on a gun, and he's a Mexican style. He had it. But when he did that, I had my shirt, put a gun in here to show you. I had my shirt tucked out and my coat over it. But when he did that, as soon as I seen that gun out, I had it out just like that. By that time, he was about 5 feet behind the back of the van. Well, when I did that, and I seen the gun, and the first thing I thought is, oh my God, I'm going to have to shoot this. Well, he was a dead man walking if he'd pulled that gun out. But he went like this. I seen the gun. I pulled the gun, but this time he was not more than 5 feet behind the edge, which had been about 10 feet from me, maybe 10 or 12. He just went, dropped it, and dropped his hand side, made a half right turn, walked all the way down to the end of the lane that I was in, turned, walked through 3 rows of car, way down on the end, not even in the direction he was coming, opposite direction. And I don't mind telling you, it scared the shit out of me. I got adrenaline rush you wouldn't believe. But that being said, I might have been that I was alert, and you have to be alert all the time. It's more than just pulling the gun out. You got to watch for stuff like that. You got to watch your surroundings. And I might have got it out and racked it. I probably could have got it out and racked it in time, but then again, if the gun had jammed when I pulled it out, and he'd have pulled that gun out, I'd been dead. And that's all there is to it. And that would demonstrate, I don't see why anybody would carry one without a round in the chamber. I mean, like I said before, you might as well carry a hammer. You'd have just as good a chance. I mean, you're putting a factor in there that don't need to be in there. Sure, if everything goes all right, I mean, it's still slower. That's all there is to it. You can't make 2 actions faster than one. Just don't do it. But you don't need to put anything in there. You need to carry the same way most of the time, and you need to practice. I practice all the time. That being said, I'll let's do a little draw here. And this is a Glock 36. It's clear. Okay. I don't have a snap cap, so I'll take the clip out. I practice one hand. Some people go like this on that fat belly. I draw like this. That's the way I practice all the time, and I just pull it out, and it's out. I don't have to think about it. It's out. And you can go like this, but then again, if your other hand's tied up or something, you just pull it out. If you have to, that's faster than going like this. I missed a slide that time. I'll try it one more time. That's fairly fast, but it's still 2 actions versus 1. It's just not as fast. I mean, you don't have to be lightning fast, but the main thing, like I said, is putting that factor in that you got to rack this slide. And if everything goes all right, it might be fast enough. But if this thing jams, you're done. I mean, you're going to have to take it and try to beat the guy to death with it, because it ain't, you know, you got to clear the jam. So, you know, that's, and the only thing I can say for people that care that way, they're probably scared they're going to shoot themselves. I mean, it can happen to anybody, but you have to train with equipment, you know, and you can get confused. That's why I try to carry the same way all the time. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of Texas governor shooting himself. Well, he got confused on what holster he had, and you know, in his line, testing all that different equipment, this holster, that holster, this holster, he got confused and thought he had the holster on that he didn't have. That's why he shot himself. But you just need to practice. I mean, I practice all the time. I draw, and main thing is you have to be totally aware of your surroundings. I mean, people go around, I mean, we call them sheeple. People go around thinking nothing's never going to happen to them. They walk around with a head up their butt. They don't pay any attention to nothing. And there's been quite a few times, you know, just that alone you can avoid any conflict at all. But you got to be totally alert at all times. And you don't trust anybody. And you don't say, well, I'm in a nice part of town, because I was in a nice part of town. My daughter got robbed in a nice part of town. A guy jumped in the back seat and stuck a gun to her head. Of course, she just gave him her money, and that was it. He got out, luckily. But you just never know. I mean, it can happen anywhere. It don't have to be in a bad part of town. It don't have to be at night. It can be anywhere. You know, you pray to God, you know, it never happens. And most people walking around think it's never going to happen to them. It may not, but they don't know that, you know. So, anyway, that's my take on it. The only thing I can say is, if you're going to carry a gun, carry it in condition red or carry a hammer. I mean, it ain't a whole lot of difference to me, you know. But anyway, that's a little real life story, and that is a true story. The other 2 times, maybe I'll say something about them, but anyway, 3 times just pulling the gun was enough to stop the threat. So I was lucky. I just thank God I didn't have to shoot nobody, because that's the last thing I want to do. But I would in a heartbeat if I had to. And I guess I'd have to deal with it later. But anyway, I found mr5point56's channel through eBommy. I'm subscribed to eBommy, and I'm a new subscriber. Can't talk. And that's the way I found your channel. So this is my video response, and I'm out.